You might have anxiety, feeling overwhelmed at the thought of facing something similar happening again. You could have emotional or physical reactions, like your heart racing, feeling tense, or even shutting down when reminded of the trauma you've experienced. I'm Petra. I had a vaginal birth after 3 cesareans. I'm a VBAC doula and birth educator, and I feel called to tell you that you deserve the birth experience that you want. I want you to join me every week to hear empowering birth stories, heart led conversations, practical tips, evidence based information, and yes, we definitely dive into the woo side of things too. My hope is for you to leave each episode feeling inspired and informed. Thank you so much for including me on your journey to be back. Now let's get into this episode. This week, we are talking about something that can be a pretty heavy subject, especially if you've had a very traumatic birth that you haven't faced yet. So if you start to feel triggered at any moment while I'm talking, hit pause on this episode and take some deep breaths and come back to it when or if you're ready to. So I want to chat with you about something that's often overlooked, either on purpose or because you just don't realize how important it is for your VBAC journey yet. And that would be processing the emotional side of planning for your VBAC. You see, preparing for your VBAC isn't just about physical fitness and reading every single book on childbirth. It's about a deep inner journey of healing and self-discovery. Many women experience a range of emotions after a previous birth, from disappointment and grief to anger and trauma. Sometimes trauma can go beyond the psychological damage and wear on our physical health too. Trauma can actually change our cellular structure and brain chemistry over time. This leads us to illnesses, immune system deficiencies, possibly even life-threatening diseases, and unfortunately, a shorter lifespan. After a traumatic event, one that represents a threat, real or imagined, to personal safety, the brain and or body are literally transformed. The threat evokes a physical and emotional reaction in the person experiencing the event, which activates our sympathetic nervous system, referred to as SNS, and it's also known most commonly as the fight or flight, which is our necessary and very important survival response. So say you're seeing a bear and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I should probably run from this bear." So that is your fight or flight response. So obviously most people are not going to stand and fight a bear, so you would run away. But after trauma, the SNS remains activated, keeping the body and mind on high alert. The brain and nervous system become stuck in this trauma and are rewired in a way that makes healing from this a real challenge. Some people never even heal from their trauma if they haven't faced it. This can manifest as physical tension, anxiety, or even a deep-seated fear of giving birth again. I want you to take a moment to imagine this with me. And it might not seem like it relates to birth at first, but I want you to just bear with me. So imagine you're a hiker. You spent years wandering trails, feeling at peace in nature. The woods are your sanctuary, a place where you feel grounded and safe. You've seen sticks scattered on the ground during every single hike. They're just part of the landscape. You barely even think twice about them as you walk past. One day, though, something happens that changes everything. You're on the trail and you see what you think is just another stick. But suddenly, that stick lunges at you. You jump back, heart racing, as the snake's fangs miss your leg and hit your boot instead. You're safe, but barely. You run, breathless and terrified, back to the trailhead. You'd like to think it's over. After all, you weren't bitten, but the experience leaves its mark. You try to go back to hiking, but something's changed. The next time you see a stick on the ground, your body tenses up, your heart races, your palms start to sweat, and you can't shake the feeling that the stick might strike again. Soon, it's not just one stick. Every single stick looks like a snake. The woods no longer feel like a safe place. You don't trust the trail, and you start to avoid it altogether. This is what trauma does. It rewires the way we see the world. What once felt safe can suddenly feel dangerous. Everyday things, like sticks on a trail, can become triggers that spark anxiety, fear, and hypervigilance. And even though the event is in the past, the effects of it show up in the present, shaping how we think, how we feel, and how we even make decisions. This example illustrates what happens when we've experienced trauma. Trauma changes how we perceive the whole entire world. It's not just about the event itself, it's about how that event lingers, influencing our thoughts, emotions, and even our bodies. When it comes to birth, a traumatic experience might look like a previous cesarean that felt out of your control, or a provider who dismissed your concerns, or a true emergency situation where you felt powerless or unsafe. Here's what's important to understand. Trauma is deeply personal. It doesn't matter if someone else wouldn't have found the event traumatic. What matters is how it felt to you. If you experienced a sense of physical, emotional, or even spiritual threat, and if that event left a lasting mark on you, then it's absolutely valid to call it trauma. Now, I'm not a licensed therapist and I'm not here to diagnose whether you've had trauma or not, but these are just things from my personal experiences and obviously from my research online from experienced trauma therapists. Now, trauma can manifest in so many ways. You might notice that you're now hypervigilant, always feeling like you're on the edge, anticipating danger or a repeat event happening. You might feel triggered by situations, words, or even sensations that bring you back to that moment. You might have anxiety, feeling overwhelmed at the thought of facing something similar happening again. You could have emotional or physical reactions, like your heart racing, feeling tense, or even shutting down when reminded of the trauma you've experienced. This is why preparing your mind for your VBAC is so important. Birth, especially after a previous cesarean or traumatic experience, can bring up a lot of emotions that we might not have even realized were there. Now, without addressing that trauma, it's so easy for fear or anxiety to cloud our judgment or our decisions and make us feel like we're back in a place where we don't have control. When you're in labor, your brain shifts into a primitive mode. Your body is working so hard, and your brain's job is to bring your baby into this world while simultaneously protecting you and your baby from potential or imagined threats. But if you're carrying unresolved trauma, your brain might interpret situations as dangerous, even when they aren't. For example, a nurse suggesting a routine intervention might feel like a threat because it reminds you of a past experience where decisions were made without your consent. Or the intensity of contractions might trigger the same feelings of panic or helplessness you felt during a previous labor. This is why preparation matters. When you work through your trauma by understanding it, naming it, and processing it, you can start to reclaim your power. You can approach your VBAC not from a place of fear, but from a place of confidence. Preparing your mind for your VBAC isn't just about learning facts or techniques. It's about healing. It's about recognizing the sticks that look like snakes and reminding yourself that you're safe, you're strong, and that this experience can be different. So, how do we begin to address these deeper layers of trauma? I'm going to give you a few tips, and obviously you can take them or leave them. And this is not an exhaustive list, just some to get you started. So, the first one I would suggest is find a somatic therapist. Somatic experiencing focuses on releasing trapped energy in the body through gentle movements and awareness of bodily sensations. It focuses on the mind-body connection, and it aims to help people process and release trauma that's stored in the body. This does that by increasing awareness of physical sensations and using techniques like breath work, and movement to facilitate healing, rather than solely relying on talking about the traumatic experience. It's often used to treat conditions like PTSD, anxiety, and even chronic pain. I have done personally somatic experiencing, so I can speak to that it has so helped me through my experiences on getting through traumas that I've experienced in my life. And not just in birth, but also just in different life experiences as well. Now, here's one that I have not tried, but I've heard amazing things about. You can also try finding an EMDR practitioner. So, EMDR stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. This therapy technique helps process traumatic memories and helps to rewire neural pathways in the brain. This type of psychotherapy helps people process and heal from traumatic experiences by having them recall the memory while simultaneously engaging in bilateral stimulation like eye movements, tapping, or sounds, which can help to reduce the intensity of the negative emotions associated with the trauma and ultimately reprocess the memory in a healthier way, essentially allowing the brain to kind of like unstick the traumatic memory and try to integrate it more adaptively. Now, here's some other ways to prepare your mind. And if you don't feel like you can face this alone, then absolutely don't hesitate to find a perinatal therapist you trust to work with you in dealing with your past trauma. But in the meantime, these are some of the things that you can do on your own to complement your treatment with or without a professional. So, number one is acknowledge your trauma. Give yourself permission to name what happened and recognize how it's impacted you. Your feelings are valid no matter what they are. Talk about it. Surround yourself with people who listen, support, and empower you. This could be a doula, a supportive provider, a friend, your partner, or other loved ones who understand what you might be going through. Even if you don't want to talk about sensitive topics, you can try to surround yourself with positive people who bring you peace, calm, and happiness. You can also try to take care of your body. Try to eat healthy, nourishing foods like fresh fruits and vegetables and whole, unprocessed foods. Make it a point to add some physical daily activity. It doesn't have to be going to the gym and lifting heavy weights. You can just take a walk outside, dance while you cook a meal, do some gardening, and focus on the positive feelings you get from moving your body. Try to spend some time doing something that you actually enjoy. That could be, being creative, making something, singing, hanging out with someone you love, getting out in the nature, drawing a picture. Try to bring some beauty, joy, or happiness into your life every single day. Pick a bouquet of flowers for your table. Leave a kind note for yourself on the bathroom mirror because you deserve that. Or just give yourself some compassion for a mistake that you feel like you made throughout the day. And don't beat yourself up. You are human, and in this human world, you are allowed to go through what we call quote unquote mistakes so that we can learn and grow every day. Now, you can also practice some gratitude and focus on what you do have. It can be hard not to go back to the past and think of your life, how your life could have been different if you hadn't experienced so much pain. I've tried really hard not to think about how my life would be different if I hadn't experienced three major abdominal surgeries, my cesareans, but really trying to focus on what we have in our life that is positive. Try to think of at least one thing you're grateful for every day. And I so get it. Sometimes it's easier said than done, right? I've been there. I still go there from time to time too. Some days my mind would spiral on all the things that I could have or should have done to make my experience much better. But all we're doing is keeping ourselves small and stuck in shame and blame and blaming ourselves or others for what happened instead of just trying to take one little baby step forward at a time to help us feel whole again. Now, also educating ourselves. Knowledge truly is power. And I know it's so cliche, and I've said this many times before, but people say these cliche statements because they are true. Understanding the birth process, your rights, evidence-based and anecdotal practices can help you feel more informed and confident. You can also try techniques like meditation and deep breathing, which are practices that involve focusing your attention on your breath, allowing you to become more present in the moment and calm your nervous system, which can be helpful for managing the effects of traumatic experiences by helping you to reduce stress, anxiety, and the fight or flight response that's often triggered by traumatic memories. Essentially, by consciously slowing your breath, you signal to your body that it can relax and it is safe to begin to heal. Now, you can try yoga and different types of movement. I know we talked about other movement before, but yoga specifically, gentle yoga, or even prenatal massage can help to release physical and emotional tension. This combines physical yoga practices and mindful movement, which can allow you to create a greater body awareness and reconnect with your physical sensations, which can be especially beneficial for you if you've experienced trauma, as trauma often leads to a disconnection from the body and a heightened sensitivity to certain stimulus. By mindfully practicing yoga movements, you can potentially learn how to regulate your nervous system, manage stress responses, and gradually rebuild a sense of safety within your body. Now, I really want you to remember that healing is a journey. It's not a destination. Even though I'm years past my own healing journey, I still have flashbacks. I still go back to those traumatic experiences. But as time goes on, it feels a little easier to handle. It feels like I can face those without it totally consuming me and devastating me. So I want you to really try to show yourself some compassion as you're navigating this journey. Be patient with yourself and try to explore different modalities to find what resonates most deeply with you in helping you on your journey. Your body is so wise. It holds the memory of your past experiences, both positive and challenging. By creating a safe and supportive environment, you can begin to trust your body again if you've lost that trust and prepare for a more positive birth experience. Now, for me, after my cesareans, I felt a sense of disconnect so deeply from my body. I couldn't even look at or touch my cesarean scar because of the shame and fear that I felt behind it. Personally, I found that gentle yoga and actually spending time in nature helped me to reconnect with my body and create a sense of trust again because I had lost trust. I didn't trust my body to do what it was designed to do. And I also did find that it was super helpful for me to talk to a therapist who specialized in somatic and perinatal mental health. And it's a journey. I still meet with her. I still meet with her weekly. And, some things pop up and we're able to get through them together. And it's so helpful. I also want you to know that your trauma does not define you, and it does not have to define your birth. Preparing for your VBAC is about reclaiming your power, healing, finding your voice, or whatever else it means to you. And it's not just in labor, but in how you approach your choices and ultimately your whole entire life. I know that sounds intense, but it's so true. The trail might feel so unfamiliar to you right now, but step by step, you can regain your confidence and trust. The sticks will just be sticks again, and you'll be free to walk your path with strength and purpose. Don't forget, your VBAC journey is unique. Try not to compare it to somebody else. It's about empowering yourself with knowledge, building that strong support system that you need, and nurturing your mind, body, and spirit. I encourage you to explore different healing modalities, like I already mentioned. Try to prioritize self-care because you deserve it, and trust in your body's innate wisdom to guide you on this path. I really do hope that this episode was helpful for you. And if you feel called to, I would invite you to send me a DM on Instagram to tell me which tip you found most helpful. Now, I know that this episode was really heavy and it might have been really hard for you to get through it because it might have triggered something and you relived what happened. I get that. I know it's hard. Nobody said it would be easy, and I wish it was easy, but it's not. But you will be so grateful to yourself for taking yourself on this journey, facing those hard things so that you can realize your power and you can heal through this experience so that it's not consuming you. I'm not saying it's consuming you, but for me, that's what it was. It was totally consuming my life, and I didn't even realize it until I started facing that. All right. Well, if you would like some more support on your VBAC journey, including like resources and education and a connection to experts, I would love to invite you to join the waitlist for my exclusive VBAC membership. Now, it does open January 31st, which is my little Luke, my VBAC baby's birthday, January 31st. That's when it'll officially be open, so you can join me in there. And once you get in there, you are going to get to connect with other VBAC moms, learn from experienced doulas and other experts that are experts in the birth world. And you'll get to receive personalized guidance to support your mind, body, and spirit on this incredible journey that you're embarking on. I am so proud of you for taking these steps, even just listening to this episode, because I feel like every little tiny step that we take towards, what we want to achieve or what we're hoping for, those little steps mean everything because those little steps build up to big steps, big leaps towards helping you on your journey. And I'm just so excited for you. And even if you don't want to connect with me, that's totally fine. I totally get that. I am always going to be here for you, and I'm going to continue creating these episodes. I really do hope that they bless you and like they are so helpful on your journey because that's why I do them. I just do them in hopes that I'm helping even just one person. To me, it's not about the world, even though I'd love to change the world. But it's about just connecting with one person. If you're that one person, let me know because I know that if one person is changed, that one person's whole world is changed, which is everything. That was everything for me. I'm just one person, but for me doing the work and changing my whole perspective, my everything, my education and just everything. I changed my whole entire world. I face the world in a different way than I did before. I am more confident than I was before. I make decisions in a different way than I did before. And I support my family and myself in so many different ways, all because I was triggered by changing, by not having another abdominal surgery, and it changed into so much more. It's like a domino effect. You change one thing and you change everything. You just hit that one domino and what happens? All the dominoes fall. So and I'm not saying, you're going to fall or fail from this, but I'm saying it's that chain reaction. It changes everything. And I really just hope that it changes or helps you in such a positive way. And I just really do appreciate you being in this space with me. I do not take it lightly that you are here with me, spending your quality time with me. And I just so appreciate it and feel so honored to be here with you. And I do want to invite you that if you do feel like this was valuable to you, leave me a review so I know that this has resonated with you. And when you do leave a review, this actually shows the podcast to more people. So if this helped you in any way, I feel like it might help somebody else in a different way. So please do that. If not, that's okay too. Do whatever you want. But I so appreciate you. I just want you to know that. All right. I will see you next time. I hope you loved that episode as much as I loved creating it. And if you want to learn more, be sure to download your free VBAC resource guide for even more tips and advice at birthingcometru.com/VBAC guide. And don't forget to subscribe to the Journey to VBAC so you never miss an episode. Until next time, trust in yourself and remember, you are amazing no matter how your birth unfolds. Bye for now.